take charge of your life. Human beings are blocks of wood in this analogy. We are carved upon by time and experience. But, and few know how to do this, there is a way to carve your own masterpiece, your self-masterpiece, if you will. And it doesn't have to do with external influences, but internal understanding. Now, when we think about destiny, we think of predestination. Like this was always meant to happen, and it was decided before I was even born. If that was the case, and you do believe in destiny, and I do in a way, then whatever you do ends up being your destiny. It isn't about an external force forcing you into doing something. There was just always a knowledge that you would do this or that, but we still make the choice. Take charge of your life and allow yourself to grow, not influenced as much by the external world as it would impose itself upon you. Society wants to impose upon you. Friends and family want to impose themselves upon you. And most certainly political parties or religious organizations want to impose themselves onto you. But I would encourage everyone to take account of everyone's viewpoints and ideas when it comes to politics and religion, and start carving yourself. Make a masterpiece of yourself that you would be proud of, because you didn't just take a copy and paste image of what your future is going to be and make it your own. That you didn't come out of a copier. You didn't come out of a pre-written program. Decide your own programming, no matter how many weird different pieces it is. At least when you make a decision on exactly what you're going to believe and not just take the word of other people, then you have created a work of art of yourself, the highest and most valuable piece of art that no one can put a price on. Nobody can put a price on the self, especially when it is self-defined, self-progressed, self-developed. When these things come into contact with one another, when we have complete control over our lives, even if we still need to, work for food, or we need to basically be nice to bosses that we don't like, or be in a career environment that is maybe not ideal, but it's either a stage before where we need to be, or we just don't have any other choice, you can still write your inner nature. Just because your external nature has some very hard things to get away from, you can still compose your inner nature, because nobody has a right to that fortress. And that fortress can have open gates, letting friends and family in, and it should. We should let a lot of our ideas out and express ourselves. But always remember that it is your fortress. It is not somebody else's fortress. If you want to close the gates, then that's your right. That's your ability. And who you are as a person never has to be who you are externally. So decide what you believe as a person, as an individual, based on researching everybody's ideas about different things, whether it be politics or religion or social structures, and take the bits that you like and compose yourself. That's what I've tried to do for years now. And it doesn't help me fall into a class of people that I can easily connect to. I connected different people through different mediums that I'm connected to, but not a single one of them really defines me completely. I'm not just completely Hindu. I'm not just completely liberal. I'm not just completely an artist. All of these things are parts of me, and they're parts of you too. I mean, everybody does this to a certain extent. I just encourage you to do this to a greater extent, to not be a copy and paste person, to not be a cookie cutter person, if you will. Somebody sort of used that metaphor, but I'll take it. Now, how do we learn how to truly gain not only understanding, but self-shaping tactics that we use in day-to-day life? Well, we have to ask ourselves, after a thought runs through our head, why do I believe this? What caused me to believe this? Is it evidence? Is it compassion? Is it logic? Compassion and logic are your friends. Always use those two in conjunction. Or is it because it was easier? Because I was afraid of the punishment of hell, or the punishment from my group that my parents were a part of, or my family or my friends, if I didn't fall into line with this or that belief. The fear that if you have a different idea on whether it be taxes or welfare or abortion, than the group that you're a part of, that you've been around your whole life, or maybe it's your literal family that raised you, or maybe it's just your general community. Then, and these are all political ideals. We'll move on to the spiritual in a second. If you fear that you have an opposite viewpoint on any one of these topics than any of those groups, then we fear the blowback. We fear being judged by those who we want to judge us as good people. We're afraid to be judged in a negative light by those we want to be judged in a positive light. Now, when it comes to spiritual ideals, maybe you believe that there are different gods, and in conjunction with one God, that are parts of the one God, like I believe. Maybe you believe there are multiple gods, and everybody around you and your family always believe that there was one God. Or maybe you don't believe in God at all, and your family is very religious. Or maybe it's reverse. Your family is atheist, and you're very religious. You find you believe in God or gods. It can be a very hard thing to approach this problem from a vantage point that I want to get my family or my friends to accept me, or my community to accept me. And I still want to be an individual. I still want to explain my beliefs. That's a very hard place to be in. You have to say, okay, I'm going to explain my beliefs, but if they don't accept me, this is who I am, and there's no other choice that I have, because this is what I believe, because I've looked into it, I've researched, and I followed my heart and my brain, and this is what they both tell me. So you have to be ready to fall into some rejection, and it can create a very lonely path for you. So here's the deal. You either have an option of being who you, sometimes this is the deal, and other times you really do agree with everybody around you. But if you disagree with everybody around you on political, religious, or societal issues, then you have to say either, okay, I'm going to hide this, and I just want them to accept me, or I'm going to create my own path, and if they don't accept me, then I'm willing to walk alone on that path. Either for a certain amount of time till I find others of the groups that I feel identified with, or forever. If I feel like I can work and operate as a spiritual entity, independent spiritual entity, political entity, or just an individualized person on my own. So I wouldn't recommend, obviously, that you just agree with everybody around you because it's easier and you want to be accepted. But I also wouldn't necessarily recommend that you completely want to be alone forever, basically. And you're never really alone, but just kind of alone in society for a long period of time, because nobody around you agrees with you or believes as you do. I would highly suggest finding communities, whether they be online or in person, or maybe you have to drive a little bit further to go out to these communities, where you can meet with people that agree with you, that feel the same impulse in their hearts and their minds towards either politics or religion or individualism or culture or society. And you meet with them, you get to know them, you develop new friendships, and you can still hang on to the old ones, but you can't rely for ideological support on those who don't have the same ideology if you are truly passionate about what you believe, unless you just don't want to talk about that with them. And that's cool too, just being around them, but don't talk about that area. And I do that with some friends that I have. I just don't talk about politics or religion when I'm with them, and that's fine. But I'd highly recommend looking for communities. So take charge of your life, be who you are, and find a way to move forward with others if possible, so that your progression doesn't have to be alone and isolated, because that's a long and hard road. So you have to reach out, and you both have to be you and reach out. So hey, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been a beneficial rant. I tried to make it that way. I still got the damn flu, and it sucks. But if you have any questions or comments, or whether you agree with me or disagree with me, shoot it down in the comment section below. I reply to all comments that are put politely, even if it's just throwing a thumbs up or a love. a love. That heart down there, I don't know what it's called, I forgot. But I really do like feedback, and if you want to, support the channel, feel free to hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps out the channel. Those likes add up, gets me more traffic. But hey, y'all have a great day, and don't be afraid to take charge of your life and be yourself.